The week before Christmas, I suggested we all work one extra Saturday to close out the year strong. The next day, 52 of my employees filed a joint complaint against me with the state labor board. When the call came, the agent's tone was strictly professional, but I could hear a hint of pity in his voice. He gave me 3 days to submit a detailed written explanation and a plan of corrective action. I managed a small, tired laugh into the receiver. "Sir, I won't need 3 days," I told him. "I can give you my response right now, and I'll have a signed and notarized document couriered to your office first thing in the morning." My plan for corrective action was simple. First, the proposed overtime was canceled, effective immediately. Second, I would personally apologize to the entire staff. Third, from this day forward, every single company policy would adhere strictly and without exception to the letter of state and federal labor laws. When that notice hit the company's Slack channel, the whole office, hell, the whole town, collectively lost its mind. When it all started with a once-in-a-century ice storm. Our town, Northwood, is nestled in a low-lying river valley. The freezing rain came down for 3 solid days, knocking out the main substation on the east side of town. The whole area went dark. My company, a data processing center, was dead in the water along with everyone else. To be honest, I was climbing the walls. The Christmas and New Year's holidays were just around the corner, and we were sitting on a massive project for a major European client. The contract, in no uncertain terms, stipulated that the first batch of data had to be delivered by December 20th. If we defaulted, the penalty clause alone would cripple us, not to mention it would torch any chance of future business. This was the whale I'd spent a year trying to land. It was supposed to secure the company's growth for the next 5 years. Thankfully, the power was only out for 3 days. I ran the numbers. If everyone just put in a little extra effort before the holiday break, we could catch up. There was still a chance. The moment the lights came back on, I called an all-hands meeting. I started by thanking everyone for their patience, then got straight to the point. "Team, the outage set us back 3 days, and the client's deadline is non-negotiable. So, here's the plan. We're going to work this coming Saturday. I need everyone to pitch in so we can hit our target. Of course, it'll be triple-time pay, and I'll be adding a $1,000 holiday bonus for every single person as a thank you." The second the words left my mouth, a wave of murmurs rippled through the room. Most of the older employees, the folks in their 40s and 50s, just nodded quietly. But a few of the younger new hires looked like I'd just canceled Christmas itself. After the meeting, my cousin Kevin Miller, who I'd made the operations manager, shuffled into my office. His recently graduated sister, Chloe, tagged along, leaning against the doorframe with her arms crossed, radiating an unearned confidence. "Ethan," Kevin began, wringing his hands. "Hey, man. So, there's something I gotta bring up." "What is it?" I said, gesturing for them to sit. Kevin perched nervously on the edge of the chair. "Dude, people are really pissed about working this Saturday. It's the last weekend before Christmas. A lot of people already have plans. Some have family coming into town, others have holiday parties, a couple people have doctor's appointments in the city. Dropping this on them last minute has really thrown a wrench in things." Chloe chimed in from the doorway, her voice dripping with condescension. "Exactly. And honestly, Ethan, it's just bad management. You're supposed to manage expectations. If you told us a month ago, everyone would have understood and planned around it. Announcing it 3 days out? It's totally unreasonable." I almost laughed. A month ago, who could have predicted a freak ice storm would take out the entire county's power grid? "Everyone's just going to have to be flexible," I said, trying to keep my voice even. The power was out for 3 days. I didn't ask anyone to work from home, and I paid everyone their full salary. Asking for 1 day to make up for 3 days of lost time doesn't seem excessive, does it? I'm offering triple pay and a huge bonus. You won't find another company in this county offering a deal like that. Kevin, you're the manager. You know better than anyone how critical this deadline is. If we don't work, we won't make it. I know, Ethan," Kevin said, nodding frantically. "I'm totally with you. And Chloe is too. She's new, but she gets it. She's family. We're on your side, 100%. But the others? They don't see it that way. I've heard them talking. They're saying this is classic corporate exploitation, that you don't see them as human beings. My advice, just cancel the overtime. It's a holiday weekend. Forcing people to work is probably illegal anyway, and it's bad for our reputation. He's right, Ethan, Chloe added, suddenly familiar. She was practically engaged to my sister, which made this even more awkward. I'm practically your sister-in-law. You know I've got your back. I'm saying this for the good of the company. The mention of her connection to my family sent a jolt of irritation through me. Her sister, Jessica, was my high school sweetheart. We'd had one of those intense, unspoken things driven by teenage hormones. Her dad, my Uncle Mike, had been the town mayor back then, living in a big colonial on the hill while my family was still crammed into a tiny ranch house. My own insecurity made me cut it off before it ever really started. I went off to college in Chicago, and we lost touch. Years later, after I'd made a name for myself in the tech world, I came back to visit my parents. Uncle Mike, using Jessica as an excuse, kept inviting me to dinner, talking about how I should give back to the community that raised you and help your neighbors get ahead. I've always been sentimental, and the idea of making my parents proud, of giving them something to brag about in our small town, was powerful. So, in a moment of weakness, I invested a huge chunk of my own money to open this data processing branch right here in Northwood. I hired almost exclusively from the town, mostly friends, family, and neighbors. I even made my aimless cousin Kevin the manager. Truth be told, I never expected this branch to be a cash cow. It was a passion project, a way to create some decent jobs back home. I gave them the simplest, most mindless tasks from my main company in Chicago, but I gave them big city benefits. Top-tier health insurance, a fully matched 401k, every conceivable holiday off, generous paid time off, and even a perfect attendance bonus that was impossible not to get, because I didn't even make them clock in. In 3 years, the Northwood office hadn't turned a single dollar of profit. I kept it afloat with cash infusions from my Chicago headquarters. Seeing my silence, Chloe must have thought her words were working. Look around, Ethan. Everyone here is either a Miller or a Cole. But we've been neighbors for 30 years. My dad still has a lot of pull in this town, and we can't be seen as bullying people, forcing them to work. We'll look like Scrooge. Let me give you some straight talk, future brother-in-law. Besides me and my brother, there isn't a single person in this company who wants to work on Saturday. The complaining is about to blow the roof off this place. And with that one sentence, everything clicked into place. The only two people in this entire company who were truly furious about the overtime were standing right in front of me. I can handle employees who want to reason with me, who want to negotiate. What I can't stand is two-faced hypocrisy. People who hide their own selfishness behind a shield of pretend concern for others. Still, I wasn't going to call them out. He was the manager, and she was a kid fresh out of college. It wasn't worth embarrassing my uncle. I softened my tone. Look, I don't want to do this either. You know that in the 3 years we've been open, I've never once asked for overtime. This is a genuine emergency. I think people can understand that. How about this? If anyone has a legitimate, unavoidable conflict on Saturday, they can come talk to me directly. I'll hear them out. No questions asked. Kevin and Chloe exchanged a panicked glance. Come on, Ethan, Kevin stammered. These are simple, hard-working people. They're too intimidated to come ask the big boss for a day off. Yeah, Chloe added. You're basically just cornering them. And even if they show up, they'll be resentful. They'll just drag their feet and be completely unproductive. We'll miss the deadline anyway, so why make everyone miserable in the process? So what are you suggesting? I leaned forward, looking them both in the eye. We just blow off the deadline, ship whatever we can, and hope for the best. Eat the penalty fee, lose the client, and have nothing left for year-end bonuses? Is that the plan? No, of course not. Chloe yelped, her voice jumping an octave. That's a totally different issue. The holiday is our legal right. The bonuses are part of our compensation. You can't withhold our bonuses just because we refuse to work illegal overtime. But if the project fails, the company loses money. There's no profit to pay bonuses from. That's basic business logic. You did go to college, right? Whether the company makes a profit is your problem, not ours. We're the workers. We show up, we do our jobs, and you pay us. That's basic labor law. You're the big shot CEO, Ethan. Surely you understand that. Kevin's face went pale. He tugged on Chloe's sleeve. Chloe, what are you doing? Shut up. Do you want to get fired? She jerked her arm away and puffed out her chest. What are you so scared of? We're Gen Z. We're here to fix the workplace. Am I wrong? I'm helping the company avoid a lawsuit. I'm looking out for everyone's best interests. You're just a pushover. Enough. I held up a hand, cutting off their little performance. The discussion is over. This is how it's going to be. We are working this Saturday to meet this deadline. And let me be perfectly clear. This is a requirement, not a request. If we can't finish it on Saturday, we'll be working every evening next week until it's done. Chloe's face turned a deep shade of crimson. She opened her mouth to argue, but Kevin grabbed her and practically dragged her out of my office. After they left, a cold fire was burning in my gut. I got in my car and started the 3-hour drive back to my main office in Chicago. For 3 years, I've been living this double life, shuttling back and forth. Chicago was my battlefield, the foundation of my ambition. Northwood was supposed to be my sanctuary, a way to give back and find peace. I never used to mind a drive. I enjoyed it. But today, for the first time, I felt a profound and bone-deep weariness. I worked late at the Chicago office. Just as I was packing up to leave, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number with a government exchange. Hello. Am I speaking with Mr. Ethan Cole, registered agent for Momentum Data Solutions? This is the State Labor Board, Division of Enforcement. We've received a signed, formal complaint from a group of your employees regarding coercive overtime scheduling on a designated holiday weekend. You have 3 business days to submit a written response and a plan of corrective action. Given your company's clean record, we strongly advise you to resolve this matter amicably with your employees. 3. Despite the agent's polite tone, his message was clear and serious. I took a deep breath and, in my most sincere voice, explained the entire situation from start to finish. The ice storm, the power outage, the critical client deadline, the triple pay, the $1,000 bonus. I laid it all out. I made sure to mention that, on top of all federal holidays, the Northwood branch gets at least 20 additional pay days off a year, that we don't have time clocks, that they get a 2.5-hour lunch break, and that the break room is perpetually stocked with free snacks and drinks. The agent was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice had softened. Mr. Cole, if what you're saying is true, your company's benefits are exceptionally generous. But why would your employees file a complaint? And not just 1 or 2 of them. This is a mass filing. To be frank, we understand running a business is hard, and we prefer you handle this internally. However, a group complaint of over 10 people is already a serious matter. Your list, it has 52 names on it. The board is taking this very seriously. It's already on the agenda for our next meeting. So you absolutely must get us that written response within 3 days. Your tone needs to be contrite and your actions decisive. Otherwise, we'll have to dispatch an investigative team to your facility. 52 names. In that instant, my heart felt like it had been plunged into a bucket of ice water. The chill spread through my entire body. The Northwood office has 55 employees, including me. Besides myself and the Miller siblings, that meant everyone. The entire staff had signed their names to the complaint. I had always thought I was bringing opportunity and prosperity to my hometown. I believed I was earning the gratitude and respect of my community. I foolishly thought I was making my parents the proudest people in town. It was all a joke. In their eyes, I was just the local boy who'd gotten lucky, come back rich and stupid. The perfect sucker. Hello, Mr. Cole? Are you still there? I'm not exaggerating the severity of this. The current administration is cracking down on labor disputes. We want to see businesses and their employees working in harmony to build up the local economy. His voice snapped me back to reality. A single, clear, and ruthless idea formed in my mind. Yes, I'm here. Thank you for the guidance, sir. I was just processing how to best handle this. Please don't worry. I know you're all busy, especially with the holidays coming up. I will cooperate fully. In fact, I can give you my definitive response right now. First, the overtime is canceled, effective immediately. Second, I will issue a formal apology to my entire staff. Third, I give you my word that starting today, my company will overhaul its policies on work hours and vacation time to ensure strict compliance with all state and federal laws. We will eliminate any and all non-compliant practices. I will draft an official, notarized document right now and have it couriered to you in the morning. Please assure the board that I sincerely accept their criticism and that corrective action is already underway. Oh, well, that's excellent. A very proactive response. Get that paperwork over to us, and this matter should be resolved without any negative marks on your company's record. After hanging up, I let out a long, slow breath, as if trying to expel 3 years of frustration and resentment. Flashes of memory played in my mind. Uncle Mike at dinner, clapping me on the back and calling me the pride of Northwood. Jessica telling me how hard it was for young people to find good jobs in town, hoping I could help. The grand opening, the whole town turning out to watch the ribbon cutting, my parents' faces beaming brighter than the sun. Last year's Christmas party, when I gave everyone a bonus equal to 3 months' salary. And all I heard was a chorus of, "Ethan's so generous," and "he has a heart of gold." I was wrong. What I had earned wasn't genuine respect or gratitude. It was just my own sentimental, naive fantasy of what hometown ties were supposed to mean. I quickly typed up the official response, drove back to my Chicago office to use the company's seal, and then, under the cover of a completely dark sky, I started the long drive back to Northwood. It was after 10 p.m. when I arrived at the branch office. It was empty and dark. I flipped on the lights and looked around the familiar space. Every day, for 3 years, this office was empty by 5:35 p.m. sharp. Every holiday, official or not, was a cause for celebration, complete with gift baskets. I let out a bitter laugh. "Ethan," I muttered to myself, "what the hell were you thinking?" Then I laughed again, this time at myself. "Listen to you, sounding like a cartoon villain. Isn't this what you're supposed to do? No overtime, a healthy work-life balance. That's the ideal, right? What are you complaining about? Did you really think you were some kind of savior they all owed something to?" Once I saw it that way, a weight lifted from my shoulders. I sealed the document in an envelope and scheduled a morning pickup with a local courier. Then, I opened the Dead Silent Company Slack channel and posted a new message. At channel, all hands emergency meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. sharp in the main conference room. I will be addressing the matter of the pre-holiday overtime and offering my sincerest apologies. The next morning, when I walked into the conference room at 8:50, every single seat was already taken. These were people who normally drifted in sometime after 9, coffee in hand. Today, they were all present, accounted for, and buzzing with a nervous energy. Kevin and Chloe sat in the front row, looking smug and triumphant. When Kevin saw me, he jumped to his feet and started clapping theatrically. "All right, settle down, everyone. Let's have some quiet. Mr. Cole is here to make an important announcement." He led the applause. A smattering of claps, mixed with suppressed snickers, echoed awkwardly around the room. "Okay, let's get started." I walked to the front, scanned the sea of faces, so familiar, yet suddenly so alien, and spoke in a calm, steady voice. "Today's meeting has only one purpose: for me to apologize to all of you. Yesterday, I unilaterally demanded that you work overtime before the Christmas holiday. This was a decision made without your input. It was a violation of labor regulations, and it was disrespectful to all of you. After being corrected by the State Labor Board, I have come to see the profound error of my ways. Therefore, I am officially announcing that the request to work this Saturday is rescinded. I offer you all my most sincere apology and hope you can forgive a boss who clearly doesn't know the law." With that, I stood up straight and gave them all a deep, formal bow. The room exploded with applause, 10 times louder and more enthusiastic than before. Kevin and Chloe shot each other a victorious look, their smiles stretching from ear to ear. I sat back down and held up a hand for silence. The agents at the Labor Board were very clear with me. A business must operate within the bounds of the law. The law is the baseline. This is especially true when it comes to an employee's right to rest. It cannot be dictated by the whims of the company. After a long night of reflection, I have decided to immediately and comprehensively reform our company's management policies. Compliance will now be our #1 guiding principle. This reform is mandatory, and every single person in this company must adhere to it without exception. "Yes," Kevin shouted, slamming his hand on the table and nudging Chloe to join in. She clapped twice, unenthusiastically. To that end, I am now announcing 3 major policy changes. Please listen carefully. You may want to take notes, as these changes will directly affect each and every one of you. A few people half-heartedly picked up pens. First, to ensure strict compliance with federal holiday statutes, all company vacation policies will be revised to meet, but not exceed, the legal standard. This includes, but is not limited to, the cancellation of our traditional practice of closing the week between Christmas and New Year's, the cancellation of all non-federal holidays, such as the half-days for Valentine's Day and the day after the Super Bowl. The company's generous 15 days of paid time off will be replaced by the state-mandated accrual system, which is 5 days after 1 year's service, 10 days after 10 years, and so on. And the 10 days of paid bereavement leave will be adjusted to the legally required 3. Second, to strictly enforce the 8-hour workday and ensure a proper work-life balance, the company's lunch break will be adjusted from its current 2.5-hour duration, 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., to a standard 1-hour break from 12 to 00 p.m. to 1 to 00 p.m. Regular work hours remain 9:00 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. This change is effective today. Third, to better implement the principle of to each according to his work and to foster a more productive environment, the company will immediately institute a strict system of attendance and performance metrics. Your monthly, quarterly, and annual bonuses will be tied directly to these metrics. More work, more pay. Less work, less pay. No work, no pay. I trust no one has any objections to a system based on fairness and merit. The conference room fell into a dead, suffocating silence. The thunderous applause from moments ago vanished without a trace. Everyone stared, mouths agape, eyes wide, as if a silent vacuum had sucked all the air from the room. I looked at them, my eyes lingering on Kevin and Chloe. The smug, triumphant expressions on their faces had frozen, cracking like cheap wax figures left in the sun. They looked utterly pathetic. Finally, Chloe broke the silence. "Ethan, what is this?" she shrieked, jumping to her feet so fast that her chair screeched against the floor. "This is retaliation. You're abusing your power to punish whistleblowers." I let out a soft chuckle and leaned back in my chair, steepling my fingers on the table. I looked at her, completely at ease. "Chloe, watch your words. I, Ethan Cole, am now a model citizen and a law-abiding employer, acting on the direct guidance of a state regulatory body. First, regarding vacation time. The federal government recognizes 11 paid holidays. Kevin, as manager, you have the records. How many days off did this company give per year? An extra week at Christmas, plus all the other little days here and there. It added up to more than a month of extra paid leave. All I'm doing is eliminating these non-standard, illegal perks and adhering strictly to the law. It is 100% legal, fair, and reasonable. Second, lunch breaks. The law requires a minimum of a 30-minute break for any shift over 6 hours. I'm giving you a full hour, double the legal requirement. That's more than generous. Perfectly legal. Third, performance reviews. Pay for performance is the most basic and fair principle in business. Are you suggesting that everyone should get paid the same regardless of effort, like some kind of commune? This is not only legal, it's standard business practice. Every single point I've announced today is a direct result of my re-education by the State Labor Board. Chloe, if you find any part of this reform plan to be illegal, or if you're unsatisfied with it in any way, please take out your phone right now. Call the Division of Enforcement. Ask them if they're happy with my corrective actions. I'm sure they'll be delighted. Chloe's face was beet red, her lips trembling. She couldn't form a single word. She looked desperately at her brother, Kevin, for help. Kevin looked even worse, as if he'd just swallowed a bug. As the manager, he knew better than anyone just how absurdly generous the old benefits had been. That extra paid week at Christmas was a massive free bonus. The bereavement leave, 10 days, no questions asked, no proof required, was unheard of. Before, those things were listed in the employee handbook as celebrated perks. Now, being taken away, they felt like a knife twisting in their guts. An older employee, a friend of my father's I called Mr. Henderson, shakily stood up. "Ethan, son, we didn't mean for all this. We just didn't want to work on Saturday, that's all." "Really?" "Yeah, Ethan, we're sorry. Please don't be mad. We'll work Saturday. We'll all come in. We'll get the project done, we promise." A wave of panicked agreement swept through the room. Faces that were smug moments ago were now filled with regret and fear. Too little, too late. I held up my hand for quiet. "Everyone, let's be very clear about something. I'm not angry. This isn't me throwing a tantrum. This is me, seriously and professionally, implementing the corrective actions required by a government agency. 52 of you signed a complaint against me. That tells me that in your hearts, you believed I was a law-breaking, exploitative, greedy capitalist. Well, I've changed. I've seen the error of my ways. I'm a good, law-abiding boss now. Shouldn't you be happy for me? As for the overtime, I said, my voice sharp and final, that is absolutely, positively off the table. The labor board was crystal clear. Forcing employees to work on a holiday weekend is illegal. And I, Ethan Cole, will not engage in any more illegal activities. Therefore, not only are we not working this Saturday, but from this day forward, this company will never again have overtime on a holiday weekend. Period. But what about the order? Kevin finally choked out, his voice cracking. If we don't deliver, the company will have to pay a huge penalty. Yeah, Ethan, Chloe added, her tone now pleading. If the company loses money, our year-end bonuses will be. Stop. I looked directly at the two of them and spoke each word with deliberate precision. Whether this company makes a profit or takes a loss is my problem to worry about as the owner. It has nothing to do with you, the employees. That's a lesson you taught me yesterday, and I've learned it well. As for the year-end bonuses, don't you worry. As my third new policy clearly states, your performance metrics will be directly tied to your year-end bonus. I'll let the last few words hang in the air. If you meet your performance targets, you'll get every penny you've earned. If you don't, you won't. It's as simple as that. The specific performance metrics will be sent to you by the end of the day, Kevin. It will be your responsibility to distribute them to the team. Meeting adjourned. I didn't look at another soul. I just turned and walked out of the conference room, leaving a graveyard-like silence in my wake. That afternoon, the new performance metrics landed in everyone's inbox. The workload I set, in all honesty, wasn't that high. It was the amount a reasonably competent employee could complete in 8 hours if they actually focused on their work instead of chatting and scrolling through TikTok. But for this crew, who had been coasting in a state of semi-retirement, it was an impossible mountain to climb. The work we did at the Northwood branch was simple, classifying, tagging, and cleaning raw data from the main office. Previously, with no quotas, people would lazily process a few hundred data points a day, taking long breaks for coffee and gossip. My new standard, 2,000 processed and verified data points per person, per day. Failure to meet the daily quota would result in a performance score of 0 for that day. 3 consecutive days below target would be grounds for a formal performance review. 5 consecutive days would be considered a failure to perform essential job functions, and the company reserved the right to terminate employment for cause, without severance. Of course, to embody the spirit of pay for performance, I included a tiered bonus structure for exceeding the quota. Anyone who could double the target would earn more in bonuses than their entire monthly salary. The private group chats must have exploded. No one dared complain in the official Slack channel, but I could only imagine the names they were calling me. At 1 p.m., the new lunch hour ended. Only a few people had trickled back to their desks. Most were used to their long siestas, not wandering back until 2 or even 2:30. I sat in my office, watching the clock on the wall. At 1:15, I called Kevin. Mr. Miller, it is now 15 minutes past the official start of the afternoon work session. Please compile a list of all employees who are not at their desks, mark them as tardy, and bring that list to my office immediately. Kevin sounded like he was about to cry. Ethan, man, come on. People are just used to the old schedule. It'll take them a minute to adjust. Can't we give them a grace period? Kevin, my voice went cold. Are you questioning my directive, or would you like to be the first name on that list? No, sir. I'm on it. Right now. By 2:30, everyone was finally back. Kevin handed me the list of late employees. It was a long one. Besides himself and his sister, every single person was on it. I nodded. Excellent. Per the new company policy, 1 tardy infraction results in a $50 deduction from the employee's paycheck. Inform payroll to process these immediately. After Kevin left, Chloe knocked on my door. Her eyes were red and puffy. Ethan, you can't do this, she said, closing the door behind her. Her voice was thick with tears. We're all neighbors, we're family. If you act like this, you'll never be able to show your face in this town again. My dad, He'll be furious when he hears about this. Your dad. I laughed. You mean my uncle? The man who begged me to invest here? Did he think I was opening a charity? I created 50 jobs in this town. I pay on time. I provide top-tier benefits that are better than the county government's. I have given back more to this community than anyone. But that doesn't mean I have to be a doormat. You all treated me like a fool to be fleeced. You were proud of it when you filed that complaint. Now that I'm refusing to be the fool, now that I'm just trying to be a normal, law-abiding businessman, I'm the bad guy. We didn't mean it like that. Chloe's voice was barely a whisper. You know exactly what you meant. I stood up and walked around my desk, looking down at her. Go home and tell your father, and tell everyone else, that this company is Momentum Data Solutions, not the Northwood Country Club. If you can do the work, you're welcome to stay. If you can't, the door is right there. I won't stop you from leaving. She flinched, then burst into tears and ran out of my office. I knew where she was going, straight to Uncle Mike. Good. It was time for my respected, influential uncle to get involved. Sure enough, just before 5, my phone rang. It was him. His tone was measured, but the pressure was unmistakable. Ethan, I heard there was some trouble at the office. They're just kids, son. They don't know any better. You're the older one. You should be a little more forgiving. We're all neighbors here. Don't let a little squabble ruin relationships. Uncle Mike, I cut him off. I can't be forgiving. This is a business, not a daycare. 52 people filed a formal complaint against me with the state. You call that not knowing any better? I call that trying to put a bullet in my head. He went quiet. He clearly hadn't expected me to be so blunt. Okay, what they did was wrong. I already gave Chloe a piece of my mind. How about this? I'll have her apologize to you in front of everyone. And the overtime is fine. Everyone agrees to it now. So you can pull back on these new rules. No, I said flatly. I'm not pulling anything back. Uncle, let me be very clear with you. This branch has not made a single penny in 3 years. I have to transfer millions from my Chicago office every year just to keep the lights on. Do you know why? Because my labor costs are astronomical for a productivity rate that is laughably low. I used to tell myself it was for the good of the town that I was giving back, so it was okay to lose money. But I get it now. There's an old saying, a little help makes a friend, a lot of help makes an enemy. I gave so much that they started to think it was owed to them. They thought I was their servant. So no, the rules stay. In fact, they will be enforced without mercy. Anyone who can't handle it can quit. I'll make you a promise right now. Even if this company ends up with only one employee left, as long as that one person does their job, I will keep the doors open and keep paying their salary. I could hear his breathing get heavier on the other end of the line. After a long pause, he spoke, his voice laced with ice. Ethan, you're really going to do this? Yes. Fine. You've gotten big, haven't you? Your wings have really grown. His voice was cold as steel. Ethan, don't you forget that your parents still live in this town. That thinly veiled threat lit the fuse on all my pent-up anger. What did you just say, Uncle? Are you threatening me? I'm just reminding you not to burn your bridges. Then let me remind you of something. I sneered. I own this company. I leased this building. I bought this equipment. I hired these people. If I want it open, it stays open. If I want it closed, it will be an empty building by tomorrow morning. And when that happens, are you going to personally support those 50 families? Are you going to invite them all over to your house for dinner? I hung up before he could answer. I knew, in that moment, that the bridge between me, my uncle, and my so-called community had been burned to the ground. The next few days were hell. The atmosphere in the office was suffocating. No one was late, and everyone took exactly 1 hour for lunch. But no one did any real work. They had resorted to the oldest and stupidest form of protest, a coordinated slowdown. Work to rule, quiet quitting, whatever you want to call it. At the end of each day, the performance dashboard showed the same result for everyone. 0% completion. Kevin was in and out of my office all day, his face a mask of misery, begging me to show a little mercy. My only response was, document everything. Follow the procedure. By the third day, according to the new policy, the entire staff was officially categorized as failing to perform essential job functions. On the morning of the fourth day, I had Kevin post a new notice on the bulletin board. Due to 3 consecutive days of zero productivity from all staff, the company will be conducting a mandatory half-day skills enhancement training session this afternoon. A competency assessment will be administered tomorrow morning. Any employee who fails the assessment will be terminated for cause, in accordance with the terms of their employment agreement. The notice was a bomb. The office erupted. They never dreamed I would actually do it, that I would actually fire them. Chloe was the first to storm my office, slamming the notice down on my desk. Ethan, this is constructive dismissal. It's illegal. I'm reporting you again. Be my guest. I leaned back, gesturing to the phone. Need me to look up the number for the labor board? Oh, and make sure you get everyone to sign on again. Strength in numbers, right? You. She was trembling with rage, unable to speak. Also, I added casually, this training and assessment is a standard internal procedure designed to help employees meet job requirements. Attendance is mandatory. Anyone who refuses to participate will be considered to have voluntarily resigned their position. The training began that afternoon, on schedule. I was the instructor. It wasn't complicated. I just broke down the most efficient workflow developed by my top analysts in Chicago. Following this method, any new hire with basic computer skills could meet the quota within a week. I stood at the front, talking until my throat was raw. Below me, some people were on their phones, others were whispering, a few were even asleep with their heads on the desk. Only a small handful, maybe 6 people, were actually listening, taking notes. I made a mental note of their faces. The next day was the assessment. The results were exactly what I expected. Out of more than 50 employees, only 6 passed. The same 6 who had been paying attention during the training. Everyone else, including Kevin and Chloe, failed. I announced the results on the spot. To the 6 of you who passed, congratulations. Please return to your desks. For everyone else, you have 1 hour to see accounting to receive your final paycheck, and then report to HR to sign your separation paperwork. The room exploded. No way. The test was rigged. I demand a retest. This doesn't count. You can't do this. Ethan, you ungrateful bastard. I hope you rot in hell. You fire all of us. This company is finished. The air filled with shouting, crying, and cursing. Chloe went berserk, trying to lunge at me, clawing at the air. Kevin had to wrap his arms around her to hold her back. I watched the chaos unfold with a cold, detached calm until their rage had exhausted itself and the noise died down. Are you done? I asked, my voice low but cutting through the silence. If you're done, go collect your checks. And let me remind you, this entire office is equipped with high-definition security cameras. If anyone damages company property or attempts to physically assault me, I guarantee your next stop will be the county sheriff's office. My words were a bucket of ice water on their last, sputtering flames of defiance. They looked at each other, their eyes filled with a mixture of anger, disbelief, and a dawning, terrifying uncertainty. One by one, they turned and shuffled toward the accounting office. The week-long war was finally over. With over 40 people gone, the office felt vast and empty. The 6 remaining employees stood awkwardly in the cavernous space, unsure of what to do. I called them over for a quick meeting. As of today, you are the founding members of the new Momentum Northwood. All the old, ridiculous rules are gone. From now on, we do things the right way. And let me assure you, if you work hard, I promise you will make more money here than you ever thought possible. We will be hiring new staff immediately. The 6 of you will be the first candidates for team lead positions. Your compensation will reflect those new responsibilities. Their faces lit up with shocked, joyful disbelief. They had survived a hurricane and somehow ended up on top. That same afternoon, I posted dozens of job listings on LinkedIn and Indeed, targeting our county and the surrounding areas. I didn't promise the moon, just the industry average salary for our region. But I put one line in bold, red letters: uncapped performance bonuses. Your earnings are limited only by your ambition. My inbox was instantly flooded. This quiet, forgotten corner of Ohio wasn't lacking for people who wanted to work. It was lacking for opportunity. It was full of young, hungry people who weren't afraid of hard work. They were afraid of not having a place where that hard work would be rewarded. I spent a week personally interviewing over 100 candidates and hired 30 of the best. Some were recent college grads, some were people who had moved away for work and wanted to come home, and a few were experienced pros from other companies. They all had a fire in their eyes, a look I hadn't seen in this office in 3 years. The company came back to life, humming with an energy it had never known. Under the guidance of the 6 veterans, the new hires got up to speed in record time. Motivated by the bonus structure, they competed fiercely but collaboratively, pushing each other to be better. The client project that 50 people couldn't finish in a month was completed ahead of schedule in 3 weeks by a team of less than 40. The European client was so impressed they immediately renewed our contract for 3 years and doubled the order volume. When the first new paychecks went out at the end of the month, people were stunned. The lowest paid new hire, with their salary and bonus, made significantly more than the old employee's average. And the 6 original team members, now team leads with management stipends and team-based commissions, had more than doubled their previous income. The office was buzzing with optimism. Meanwhile, back in town, it was a different story. The terminated employees, led by my uncle, tried to cause a stir at the state labor board again. This time, no one would even listen to them. My process, from training and assessment to termination and final pay, was perfectly documented and flawlessly legal. They didn't have a leg to stand on. They tried to protest at my Chicago headquarters and were promptly escorted off the property by security. As for my Uncle Mike, he never called me again. I heard through the grapevine that his reputation in town took a major hit over the whole affair. My parents did have to endure some local gossip for a while. But when they saw the money I was sending home, and when the construction crew I'd hired started demolishing our old ranch house to build a beautiful new 3-story colonial in its place, the gossip turned to whispers of envy. Sometimes the world is just that simple. When you have leverage, you make the rules. One night, I was working late when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. It was a woman's voice, soft and strangely familiar. "Ethan, it's Jessica Miller." I froze. "Jessica, Chloe's older sister, the ghost of my high school years." "It's me," I said, my voice a bit hoarse. My mom told me what happened," she said, her voice full of a genuine, painful apology. "Chloe can be an idiot, and my dad, he was completely out of line. I'm so sorry for all the trouble they caused you." "It's over now," I said simply. "I'm apologizing on their behalf. I know it doesn't mean much, but I am truly, deeply sorry." "You have nothing to apologize for. You weren't involved." A long silence stretched between us, filled only by the sound of our breathing. Finally, she spoke again. "I'm coming home next week for a few days. Would you have time to get dinner? Let me make it up to you at least a little." I hesitated for a moment. Then, to my own surprise, I agreed. "Okay." After we hung up, I walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window in my office and looked out at the lights of the small town below. It was peaceful, quiet. It struck me that maybe I had never really left this place, and maybe I had never really come back. Perhaps you have to be betrayed to finally see the path you're on and to truly know the people walking beside you. As for what the future holds, who knows? But for the first time in a long time, my conscience was clear. I felt a sense of peace that was deeper than any I had ever known. Because I had finally learned a painful, simple truth. Your kindness has to have an edge. And for the wolves who see your generosity as weakness, the best answer isn't an argument. It's taking away their dinner plate.